Hi, it's Wade McMaster here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of an introduction video to the Divi theme. I've covered a lot of areas of the Divi theme and working on a few tutorials and that for you guys, but I thought it'd be good just to do a video. There's a little bit to learn here, but I'm going to try and summarize a little bit of how you get started using the Divi theme and customizing your website to get the look the way you want. Now, at the moment, I've got this little test site put together. It's using the default, I think, 2020 theme, nothing spectacular, but I've got a blog here with a few bits and pieces, an about page. So, it's just dummy text with a few images. So we've got we've got something to start with. And we're going to be installing the Divi theme, which I've already uploaded. I'm going to touch on that in a minute though, and show you just how it works and how to get it looking the way you want. But I want to show you this before to show you that it will change. Things will actually look a little different and go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to up here to go onto my dashboard. Now, if you haven't installed the Divi theme, I'm going to switch back over to my Elegant Themes back end here. When you log in and you buy, you got a little download section. You simply download the Divi theme here, and it gives you a zip file. And when you get that zip file, you then upload that to your site. So the way that works is if I go to Appearance and Themes, you will see the theme's already uploaded, but I simply go to Add New, and then I have the option to upload a theme up here. You upload, install, and then that's it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to activate this theme by clicking Activate over here. You now see the Divi theme is active. So before I even get started, I just want to show you what it looks like out of the box, because it is still a styled theme. It does change the look of your site. And obviously there has to be some kind of base for it to work. Now, I actually have a Divi page already installed, but this is straight out of the box without any customizations or anything. Obviously, I have had this installed in the past, so there are a few little things in there, but I've done my best to restore it back to its original settings. I've got a home page here, our about page, which we were looking at before, has a right aligned image. We have a sidebar here, but there's nothing in the sidebar, so I might actually add something in there just for the sake of it. But I do have a Contact Us page, which uses the Divi Builder and just some dummy information here. So we've got the basics of the theme here, but I've only got one page that has any Divi information, and we've got an empty home page, which we're going to explore the builder on later. But I want to cover the main areas and show you how this works to begin with. So obviously, Divi has a settings page. There's a few other areas. Down the bottom left here, you'll see an area here that says Divi. You see we've got theme options, theme builder, theme customizer, and a few other areas here. I'll touch on a few. The support center is great if you're looking for information on how to use it. The Divi library is where you can actually install. So when you're using the page builder or you built a page, you can actually save that design or certain modules that you use throughout your website and save it to your library. And you can then, there may actually already be something in here, because while this is a test site, I have made stuff in the past. So yeah, we've got a whole bunch of pages and layouts in here that I've done previously. I can actually create a new page and pop these layouts on there. And there might even be just a few little areas like the global contact form. I could pop particular modules in there, all designed, created, and locked and loaded, ready to go. The role editor, it just gives you the option to, if you see here, you've got different people or different categories of users. If you have an administrator, if you have an editor, you can actually turn off options in the theme builder and other areas, so you control what access users have to Divi features customized. So that way, if you only want administrators to touch page builder pages or the theme builder, you can turn off so many options like page options or whatever, and you can, really come down on the ability for people to make changes to the site. But let's get on to the three main areas. There are four necessarily. That one is not here. One is simply the page builder. So you've got your theme options, and that is basically where you change the options and just the general functionality of your theme. You've got a theme builder, which allows you to build customized layouts and apply them to areas of your site. It can be applied to blog posts, it can be applied to the whole site, it can be applied to archive pages, search pages. You can basically create custom layouts to go throughout your site in certain areas that you want to dedicate them to, and then you can also exclude them from certain areas, which I'll go through in a little bit. You've got your theme customizer, which is the WordPress customizer. It allows you to change the look of your website. And then finally, the actual page builder itself, which is the same customizer you use in the theme builder. It's the idea is that you've got a page, you use the Divi builder to create the custom look of the page that you want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off nice and easy. We're going to go into theme options, and we're going to start exploring from here. Okay, so we're not going to go through absolutely everything here, but we're going to touch on a few important factors because I'm going to basically put together some basics, not too in depth, to give you a bit of an idea of how it works. And then, of course, if you want to, we can then go in and dive deeper into some of these areas. So I've got the Divi theme options here. You can add your logo. So a logo for your navigation. You can have a fixed navigation. So if I actually open up a new tab with this, go to a page such as, you can see we've got we've got a few categories, and in your settings here, you can actually change what shows up here. I'm going to touch on that a bit later. We've got a few bits and pieces. If I go to blog, you see when I scroll, this stays fixed at the top of the page. It actually shrinks, enlarges, shrinks, depending, and it stays there. So that's the fixed navigation bar. We can turn that on or off. The Divi gallery, obviously you have gallery modules with the builder, but if you want to, you can actually have this take over the default gallery in a classic WordPress editor, so you can turn that on or off. Whenever you're using the builder, you get default colors, but you can go in and change these colors if you want to, have different default colors. And yeah, you can go through, change your sidebar layout. Grab first post image means instead of having featured image, it just grabs the first image in the post. Blog style mode puts the full entry of the blog into the blog page instead of summarizing it. So these are for when you're just working out of the box. If you have Google Maps, you want to put your API key in there. You want to turn off whether or not you want that script to be used, whether or not you want to be able to use Google Fonts. I generally say yes, so you have more design options, whether it shows certain social media icons. And then if you do, here's where you pop the URLs. And you've got Instagram icon now. It's actually relatively new, I think. And then you've got a few options. Number of products displayed on a WooCommerce archive page. You've got some pretty basic options here. Nothing we'll have to go through in detail. Subsets, so you can have Google Fonts only load what it needs of the font. I generally just leave that disabled. A back to top button, I will turn that on. Smooth scrolling, I'll turn it on because it's nice and smooth. And responsive images you do generally want, and this is just a performance option to have it minify and combine JavaScript files and CSS files, so that way you get smaller files, faster to download. I'm going to save those options. What I should have done before that, I'm going to upload a logo because that's something we do want to do. I'm going to show you how this website comes along, hopefully quickly. I'm not sure how long this video will go for, but obviously you're looking at, you can tell from here. I'm going to go to upload. I can choose something from the media library if I want, but I'm going to go to upload files and click select files and choose this logo here. It's just a dummy logo. I've used it in another video. So this is my logo. TechBrain. The text is in white, so if I have a white background like I currently have, it's not going to show up and be visible, but we're going to look at that one again later as we go. So set as logo. And you've got a whole bunch of other areas here. Navigation. So I can turn off what I want and don't want in the navigation. So if I want to keep certain pages on there, if I want to turn off the products page, I can. If I want to show drop-down menus, I'll turn that off. I can. The home link displays the home link. You can choose to have that on or off. Sort pages link. So you've got the different orders to sort them in. A few different areas there. Categories. I don't want these categories on here because you'll see if I tab across, I've got all these blog post categories there, and maybe I don't want them there. So I'll turn off these two. Maybe I'll just leave that category there for the sake of it. And of course, just, you've got a few different other options here. I'm not going to go through every single bit and piece, but the Divi Builder, you want to enable it on posts, pages, and projects. Projects is something that allows you to have like a portfolio, that sort of thing. And under advanced, you can actually turn off static CSS file generation. So another performance issue. Putting our styles in line, I'm pretty sure means it basically puts the styles into the HTML. Generally, I just leave that disabled. Product tour, I'm going to turn that off, but it generally, when you go to edit a page, will say, give you like a tour of how to use it. Since we're going to go through, we're just going to turn that off. But if you leave that on, you'll see a window and you go to edit a page that you shouldn't see here. And if you're using the block editor, you can enable the classic editor by clicking here. So that's a pretty cool feature. So I'm just going to save that as we go. Okay, now into the layout. So on a single post, on a blog post, you can choose in the byline to have all these things or even none of these things. You can turn them on or off. You can turn comments on or off, whether or not you want them on there. And if you have a featured image, you can have them show up in the post automatically or not. I'm going to leave that on for now. And same with a single page. You can place featured images on the page or show comments on pages. They're disabled by default. And of course, your posts info section. So this is like your blog post page or archive pages. You can also choose certain things off and turn the featured images on or off. You can also put some, they got some areas where you can pop ads. If you turn that on, I'm not sure where that goes because I've never actually used it. It will display a 468 by 60 pixel banner on the bottom of your post pages. So that's pretty cool. You can have the banner image, the URL, and if it's AdSense, you can pop the AdSense code in there, but we'll turn that off. There is some basic SEO here, so you can enable a custom SEO title. So some basic SEO settings here that you want to turn those on. Maybe something to explore in another video, but you get the idea. You can actually have homepage sections there, or you can turn these on. Here, I tend to use a plugin just because it allows you to auto-generate things if you want to. But yeah, you've got basic SEO settings, similar across the board. So custom field used for title, used for description, that sort of thing. Integration, so you can actually add code onto your page. So if you've got Google Analytics code, or you've got certain bits of code or JavaScript or anything that you need to put on your site, here you can pop it into the head of the page. These have to be enabled for them to work. So if I have code in this section here for the head, but I have it disabled, it won't work. So the actual slider needs to correspond with the actual area here. You can add code to the body of your page, to the top of your post. So I'm pretty sure that's just under the title. I can't really remember at this stage. And then the bottom of your post. So just at the very end of your post or page, pop some code in there, which can be useful if you're looking to add an ad or maybe just some kind of image linking off to a call to action. And then an area to insert some credentials for updates, which you get from your Elegant Themes account. Just a username and an API key, so that way you have to be actually licensed to get updates for this theme. And one thing I didn't touch on before is if you scroll down the very bottom, you can have custom CSS here, but that is also in the theme customizer. So something worth noting, but it's sort of easier to use in the theme customizer because you can get a preview of what's happening as you're writing the code. But if you'd rather just type the code, hit save and go check it out, you can do it that way too. So we can see we've got our logo here. Once again, I'm just going to save these changes. I'm going to go out to the home page. So this is our home page. You can see my logo there, very small. The white text can't be read because it's on a white background. One thing I'm going to do though, I'm not very happy with the menu system. What do I prefer to do? I'm going to show you very quickly. I'm going to go into the theme customizer here. Now this is actually something that's not a part of Divi, but in order to get this the way I want, I generally go into menus here. I create a new menu. I'll call it maybe main menu. And I want it to be, if I click primary, it'll go into my primary menu here. Now that is something that's part of the theme. So I go to primary menu and then next, and I add some items. So maybe I go these three. Maybe I don't want contact us, I'll move that. And I just go publish. You see I've got these two items here. So I can actually add items here from pages. I can even add posts. You can have custom links in there. Up here, add a custom link. That's a pretty standard part of WordPress. And then if I want to, I can actually go back, create a new menu and just call it, say, top or something like that. So I'll go top. And then I'll just go secondary menu. Next, add some items. And maybe I'll just go add all of these pages just for the sake of the video. Publish. You see I've got all of my pages at the top here for the secondary menu, and the other menu for the primary menu is in here. So you can influence different navigations, set up different navigations on the site. Now, the actual theme customizer is also pretty handy. We're not going to go through a ton of things here, but we are going to do some basic customizations. Before I go to the top, I'm actually going to start down here a little bit, because if I go to color schemes, I can change to different color schemes like orange. Very minuscule. However, I don't like using these because they override personal settings I set in the other areas. So I'll go back to default. Now, everything from here down is standard WordPress. The CSS area I mentioned before, you can type in some CSS code and see what happens over here. But we're going to start at the top and go to General Settings. You got your site identity, which is your standard, just your standard WordPress setup. Layout settings. Now, you can change your layout a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to go back I'm darting around a bit. General Settings and Background. And I'm actually going to choose an image. Let's say this one. Now, the actual page itself has this background image. And the reason I've got that there is if I go to layout settings, you can see at the moment everything is full width. If I change it to a boxed layout, it boxes it. If I zoom out a little, you'll see that it actually has a boxed layout here within. And I can even make that layout thinner if I want to. Now, this preview is dodgy. It will actually show up correctly when you do it, when you actually go back. So it's just a problem with the actual previewer. It will actually work properly the way it should. Let's just reset it for now. I'm going to go to another page just so it does fix itself up for the sake of the video. All right, we're on our blog. So yeah, you can change to a boxed layout or full width. I prefer full width. Once again, I'll find a page. I've got no items in my sidebar here, but you can add on items in there like any theme. But yeah, you can change just little bits and pieces. You can have a custom sidebar width if you want to. So if I go back, if I go into my widgets sidebar, and let's just add navigation menu default. And then let's also just add another widget. Let's go image. Add an image, and let's just add this photo, which is going to look ugly, but it'll do the job. Move that above the menu. So now we have a sidebar. Back into general layout settings. With this custom sidebar width, if I turn it off, it's set at this width. But if I turn that on, I can make it much wider. The photo is not that big, so it gets to a size and then simply moves. But you get the idea. You got a little bit of control over how wide that sidebar is. And you can change the theme accent color to anything else, and that'll change the secondary menu, but you can change that more directly using another setting. I'm just going to go with, we'll go with this green for now. Now, if I go into the typography, you can see I can change the body size. I can change the line height to make it a bit more spaced out. 16 is a good size. I'll leave it at that. Header text size, I can make it quite huge if I want to. Turn off the capitals. I can change the letter spacing to make it tighter, wider or tighter. Line height again. And then you have access to usually all the Google fonts. So if I go through, I can just find a font that I like and stick with it. Now, I'm not choosing anything in particular. I'm literally just bouncing about. So let's just stick with that for now. And the body font, you can choose something as well. That's not a good choice of font, that one. But you get the idea. We can choose something. So let's just stick with, let's just stick with default for now. So you can actually go through and change the body font, to even change the link color. So maybe we want to make it that green color. I don't have any links on these pages, unfortunately, but if I go to the blog, some of them may do. No, I don't have it, that's right. But you get the idea. You can change the color of the body text, the header. You can make the header completely, click, scroll down a bit. You make the header bright red if you want to. Make it the green color. So you can actually change the header color as well. And you notice that we had the theme color different. This has gone blue, but that's because if we go back out of general, because we're done with the background as well, header and navigation, it's one of the main areas where, because people land and they see the header first. So I'm actually going to go to header format afterwards. I'm going to style and color this and come back and play around with this header format a little bit. So the primary menu bar, obviously I can make the menu taller. I can change the logo height, but I think before we go ahead, I should change the background color so we can see what we're looking at. So with the background color here, I'm going to click on it where it is white, and I'm going to change it to black. So now you can see the full logo, but because that's black, the text color is also dark. I'm going to change that to white so we can see that. Active link color, we'll go to the green, but we'll actually choose a lighter variation. I'm going to copy this code. But basically, you can just go through, play with the colors however you want. Menu, text color. This is for the drop down, so if you have sort of sub items, you can change the drop down. Now, this isn't actually white because if I go to the text color, it's semi-transparent. So I want to make it full. So now I can also make the menu full width, so it goes all the way across the width of the page, or confined to the design width, so it'll be down right in the center. The logo max height, I can increase that a bit so it takes up more space. I can make it menu a bit bigger. The text size can be a bit bigger, and I can even change this font to something else again. I recommend sticking to only a few fonts, like maybe 2 or 3 fonts. If you have too many different fonts, you may get some issues with your page load time. But play fair display, which we had before, maybe I'll use that, make it a bit bigger. We can change the letter spacing again. We can space it out. So you get a few options there. Let's say we're happy with that. We'll come out. Secondary menu bar is the top menu, which might be a little confusing for some people, but you sort of get the idea. Now the background color, I want to stick with that green that we had a look at before. Same again. It's a shame I didn't make the logo that same green, but that's all right. Now the default, we can use the default theme font for up here, which I think we will stick with, but maybe we'll go italics and just make it a bit larger. It's actually italicized the icons, which is interesting. Didn't know that. So we got our navigation. Oh, let's turn that off. Make it capitals. Our navigation is set up the way we want it to. We can make that full width if we want to as well, as you can see. So it confines it to the left and right of the design, or just the full width of the page if I turn that on. I go back. Fixed navigation settings. If I scroll, we have our fixed navigation. You'll notice that the text has actually disappeared because the fixed navigation actually has its own set of settings. So I need to actually go through, make that white, boost it up. I can hide the logo image, so when I go to fixed, the logo disappears and reappears. Let's keep that on. Make the menu height shorter, taller. We can actually make it really huge so that when you start, it gets really huge, which you don't want, but you sort of get the idea. Text size smaller. So that way it sort of minimizes and gets out of the way of itself a little bit. So secondary menu color, let's just go for this. I don't know if this is set up well, but you're sort of getting the idea. We can customize these things. With some basic CSS, you can pop an image in the background. It's not too difficult. Might do a video on that for you guys. Header elements is easy. So social icons, I want to turn those off. The search, I want to turn those off, or I can turn it on. And it's a pretty cool search feature. So if I click here, this scrolls out of the way and I can now search for anything. So that's a pretty cool feature. Close it, up comes the old navigation. So that's pretty cool. You can add a phone number in here like 555-555-555. Email, so email@email.com. Oh, you get the idea. I can't type too well. So you can add these at the top here if you want to. I'm going to leave those off for now. So a lot of that really works in your header. So that's pretty cool. But one thing I nearly went past, the header format. You see we've got a few different things here. So we can choose enable vertical or not. We're going to stick with horizontal for now. What we're going to do is go centered. So now we have a centered logo with the items underneath, centered in line, centered logo with the link items either side, slide in. So now we have this, and you can actually edit the colors of this. Same as you would over here, slide in full screen header settings. We can make that this color. And you can see now, so we click that, so you just get a little hamburger icon and that slides in. And the same thing with the full screen layout. So if I click here, we get this full screen menu, which is very visual, very cool. You can go through and search at the top here and explore from there. So it's pretty powerful what you can do with it. I prefer the default, to be honest. It just, to me, I think is the most effective layout because you get to show your logo. Everything's taking up less vertical space so people get to the content that they want much quicker. But you can hide the navigation until scroll. So we land here and they start scrolling, all of a sudden the navigation appears. So you have that option as well. But then you can also enable vertical navigation. So we have the navigation down here, and then there's still some settings like centered, so it just centers it here. Centered in line is a bit weird. I don't know why they have that there. Slide in, it doesn't allow that on vertical or full screen. So you pretty much have to stick with horizontal for the slide in the full screen. But you get the idea of how you can customize your header. And yeah, it's pretty good. And of course, your footer, you can choose in your footer widget area down the bottom here how many sections you want. You can have just 4, 3, 2. You can have different sort of column structures. So that way, if I pop something here, I can make the background color that again if I want to. And then if I go out, back into my widgets, I've got these footer areas here. So the first one might be to add some categories. I'll just say categories. So we've got some categories in there. Footer area 2 might be to add something else. Maybe we'll go pages. So that's pretty much how that works. Pretty straightforward. See, we've got this area here, so your footer layout can change. So back in the footer, like I said, I can go this way. You see it moves. Because there's only short amounts of text, it's actually a lot wider and a lot thinner. But those are the column. That's the column structure for your footer. And then you can go in and you've got different widget options like the header size. Now, for some reason, the fixed navigation, we'll have to go back and fix that in a minute. The fixed navigation hasn't held its settings, but that's just in the preview. It generally is accurate once you actually publish. So the widget header color, we're going to make that white. So you can see here our headers have popped up. And we're going to actually make so this is actually carrying a few of the settings from elsewhere. So I'm going to, I can change a few things here, change a few things there. But the headings are just a little bit too close together. So, if you can obviously go in there, change the dot points to blue. But I can go back out, go to my typography under general, and just maybe make that letter spacing a bit better across the board. I'm just going to publish that as we go. Also, I will just pop in here and go to our fixed settings, and the background color I'm going to make black. Menu link color is white. Make that black. So that way, that way we've got everything looking the way it should look. And we're going to turn that off, turn it on, publish. So now everything's back the way it should be with the header. I wouldn't recommend this design specifically, but it's just to demonstrate. Once again, footer elements, I can show social icons. So down here we've got social icons. I can turn those off. Footer menu, you can actually add a footer menu in there as well under menus, and it just has some basic style options for that. And the bottom bar, we've got some text here. I can type more, as you can see. It'll appear down here as I type. So you can add a little footer credit. You can turn it off altogether. Once again, change the font size, play around with it, get the look that you want to. It's pretty handy. And another main one is buttons. So you actually change the button style. So if you have buttons on your page, which I actually don't have here at the moment, you can go through and customize those buttons. But for now, we're going to go text color. We'll go green, background color, white, border color, green. So that way the text of the button is green. The background color should be 100% white. The border color will be the same green. I have the border color at 3. And I'll have a high radius so we get nice curved edges. And I'll choose Play Fair Display. And then when we look at the actual builder, you'll actually see it come to life. So we'll come back to that, and let's get back out. And from there, you've got some basic settings, text settings and that for your blog posts, and even mobile style. So you'll see here, things are looking a little bit different. This text is really small on tablet. I can make the header text size larger on tablet, and even the body text size larger, smaller. So I get settings for device sizes as well. Go to phone, and once again, this is now a bit big, so maybe I make it smaller. Maybe I make the body text smaller on phone, and that way you've got an actual customizable bunch of settings for your phone. Finally, the mobile menu. Now the text color we want to make white, so that way we see this. The problem is the background color can't be red now, so we're going to go to the green. So now we have this, although it looks a bit ugly with that, so we'll go back to black. So now we have this menu, text color is semi-transparent, so pump that up to full. And of course we can hide the logo or not, we still get our search feature. So you do have access to customize the actual mobile menu system as well. That is more or less the guts of the theme customizer. Like I said, you've got your color schemes, but if you're really looking to just change the look of your theme, you can play with that, and that'll do a decent amount of work. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through the whole theme customizer. I do have a series of videos for that, which I will link to. But I'm going to have a quick look at the page builder because, as you can see here, we've got our theme. If I go to products, this is what our website is looking like now. We've got our header, we've got products, we've got some bits and pieces in here from before. We can totally customize the sidebar and the footer, but maybe we don't have enough customization. Like I said, I'm not going to touch on this too heavily, but you'll see what I'm talking about soon. Like I said, I have an entire video series on this, so you can check that one out afterwards. I would highly recommend it. Under Divi and Theme Builder, we can build our own layouts here. So if I want to change the header, I can go in here, build a global header, and with the page builder, I can go in and basically build my own header. And I'll show you how that all works soon. I'm actually going to X out of that now and bin that. But maybe I want the global layout to stay the same as it was. So maybe in this one, I'll go to add a new template. I want it to be all pages, but not all posts. And maybe I'll exclude the home page. So I got use on all pages, but exclude from the home page and create a template. And then maybe I want a separate template for all blog posts. And I can go through and build a custom body area. So if I tab across, I'll refresh that because that's actually from before. So the header area is this area here. I can build that custom. Or the body area, which is everything from the bottom of the navigation down to the top of the footer. We can build a custom area there, and it has modules that allow you to set up. So page content goes here, sidebar goes here, page title goes here. You can actually go through and customize where these different areas go. Like I said, check out that video. It's really, really shines a light on how well you can use it. So it's really quite powerful what you can customize, because you can even create a custom footer as well. If you don't want to change anything on the actual blog layout itself, you can just create a custom footer to go at the bottom of all of that, and it's just a really powerful, the theme builder is just really powerful. And as you can see, if I go add a new template, I can use it on the home page. I can choose specific pages or children of specific pages. So if you want to have a particular layout for anything that comes under the products pages, like maybe you have several products pages, you can just have those pages be a child of the products page and simply assign it to that. Obviously the same works with blog posts or blog posts in specific categories, and archive pages, author pages, date pages, projects. Like there's so many different options to assign layouts to, so you can really take full control. And then you can go ahead, if you want to blanket a few areas like all projects, you can choose specific projects not to use it on, which I have none here. So you have full control. You can create one big global template here, or you can go through and customize individual areas. But the main thing we want to look at is the the page builder, which is the same builder you use in these areas. So that's pretty much the final part of what we're looking at here. So let's go back out to the main site. Obviously I want to save these changes if I create some layouts, but I don't really want to save those because we're not creating any layouts. Okay, so I'm on my home page, but before I get too stuck into the editor, I do want to demonstrate something. And that is if I go to my contact page here, which is built on Divi. Now you'll notice this is actually a Divi layout. If I go to edit this page, we now have Enable Visual Builder, but I'm going to sort of just touch on something here. If I go to edit page, we can't edit it using the default editor. You have to click here to edit with the Divi Builder, and it goes out to the page and enables the Visual Builder. But if I go to one of these other pages like products and go edit page, this is built with the standard WordPress block editor. Now, the reason I want to point that out is obviously because the editors are different. If I go to use a Divi Builder, we might it changes some of this. If I go to the contact page and switch to the default editor, you may lose the Divi Builder changes. Something to remember is that you pretty much choose one editor or the other when you're using the Divi theme. The good news is if you do change themes, you can download the Divi Builder plugin and it will keep all those pages intact. So you don't have to worry too much about losing what it is that you've actually built. But if you're not certain which sort of builder was used for a page, I pretty much always recommend going to edit page. So if I'm going to home here, now let's say I want to edit this page with the Divi Builder. It hasn't been touched with the Divi Builder, but instead of going to Visual Builder, if you're uncertain, I would simply go to edit page, so that way you can check. And then from there, we've got some basic content here, but we go, wait, this isn't the Divi Builder. I would click the button there to build it. If you do decide you want to remove this content, you can go to use Divi Builder up here. And so the same thing, you click that button and you would then go ahead and edit from there. So I'm going to click on this. And we're going to start building our page from here. So the first thing you do is you get an option to clone an existing page. So I can, whoops. Now, whenever I'm recording, for some reason, this quite often loads twice. So I'm not sure what the problem is there. So you might experience that, but it's not something that keeps on happening over and over again. I can use existing content. So in other words, start from scratch. I can clone an existing page, like my contact page, or if I'm taking something like my home page and I want to go ahead and just make a few alterations for another page, I can do that. I'm going to check out pre-made layouts quickly for you, because we can go in and add in any of these layouts that come with the theme. So if I click on, say, this one here, I can choose one of these layouts and install it, use it, and edit it. But in order to better teach this, I'm actually going to close this down and we're going to start from scratch. So obviously we've got our footer here and our header here. And what we've got now, they're actually called different things. I think this is called a section, a row, and then a module. Like the blue area is called a section. The green area is called a row. And if I actually click on the cog here, you can see I have a column structure I can use. So I can have 6 columns and these are individual columns. So you got a section, a row, and then columns within that row. But you may, depending on how you want to think about it, I prefer to think of the blue section as a row because it goes row by row down the page. And this green section is where I assign columns. So I choose how many columns I want by clicking here, choosing how many columns I want, and I assign modules, which is text modules, image modules, modules of content within those columns. So I'll actually demonstrate that for you by adding another row here. And I'll go to regular. I'm going to choose 3 columns. And I'm going to add in, I'm just going to add an image in the first one. So we'll add an image. And we get all of these settings. Now I'm not going to go through all these settings because it is an introduction and it will take forever. But we can add a link to it. We can change the background color of it. Like if you've got a text module, changing the background color could be handy. And you've got all these other design options like alignment, so center, right align. You can change various areas of sizing, so you can make it a maximum width, that sort of thing. Spacing, so things like margin, padding, you can have a bit of space around the image. You can add a border, a shadow, you get the idea. And advanced, you can add some custom CSS. We're going to touch on that. Maybe we'll touch on a few more settings as we go, but I just want to try and give you as much content as I can without taking hours upon hours to do that. So I'm going to go back to the content tab up here, click on image, and then click here to change this image. So I'll choose this here, and I click tick. Now because this is, you see here, this blue area is highlighted as one row or a section, and this blue area here is another row or a section. So I'm going to go to the little cog here, and under background, I'm going to change that background to the green. Well, maybe not the green because it blends in. We'll just go, say, let's just click here, and we can move this slider up, pick a color, make it a bit more gray maybe lighten it up, and we'll go there like that. So we've got an image here, and we've got our columns. You can see here we've got 1, 2, 3. So these little plus symbols are where you add items. So they've really done a good a good job of color coding. The blue is the overarching row, which can contain many sections of columns. So the section, I should say, section can contain many rows. I think of it as one big row containing, I can add another, say 2 columns beneath it. Let's close that for now. So I can actually have various sections within this colored row area here. I can even duplicate this if I want to move it across down here. Maybe I want to change that image. I can go into the cog, click here, click upload, and then I can either drag and drop or go select files. And maybe I'll just pick this. I'll go with the dinosaur, which is already actually on the website, but that doesn't matter. Maybe I'll add some text over here. So I'll go here. So once again, blue will add, because we've got this blue, all the large sections, or like I call them rows. Because it's blue, you get a blue plus to add another row. If you want to add columns, hovering over that green area, click the green plus to add another one of those, and the modules are grey. So you can see then, as we hover over the blue, this is where we can move by clicking those arrows and dragging. So I've moved it up. This is where I go to the settings. I can click here to duplicate this, so we'll create a copy directly underneath. I can add this to the Divi library, which I mentioned earlier, so we can then import it to another page later on, or I can hit the trash to get rid of it altogether. And then we have further options by clicking these 3 vertical dots. Some of the same options as before. We can do split testing, we can lock it, reset the style. So if I have a bunch of styles I've applied to it, so if I actually go ahead and duplicate this and move down, you can see it's duplicated. I can go here to reset section styles, and it'll take it back to normal. So you got options there, and it's the same basic idea here. You can move it, sections, you can change your columns here, add it to your library, delete it, go through, and then if I hover over an actual module, like this image module, similar options again, and I can make further changes. I'm going to add some text in here very quickly, so I'll scroll down. Before I get too caught into it, these are all the different types of content modules you have. Now I do also have another video which goes through what all of these are. So I also recommend checking that out if you really want to know what all the modules are. There's actually a playlist I have of just all Divi videos. I recommend if you're looking to really learn the ins and outs of this theme, I recommend checking out that playlist. I'll also put a card at the end of this video to that playlist. But here I'm going to add some text. I'm going to leave this basic text in here, but I can simply click and type, or I can remove it and type more. But this is just my basic text. Let's say I don't like how hard that is to read. I can go down to the background, make it white. Now there's no space here, so looks a bit ugly. So I'm going to go to Design, to Spacing, and under the padding I'm going to add 30 pixels, and I can link this so the top and bottom have the same settings. But let's say I want the left to have 10 and the right to have 50. Just for the sake of demonstration, you'll see we've got a little bit of padding and then a lot of padding. But I'm going to link these up and make them both 50. And the actual text editor, if I go back to content, I've got all the same classic editor options. So maybe I hit enter here and I go, hello. And what I can do, if I highlight that, because the theme customizer, I've already set my fonts up. If I change that to heading 2, we get Playfair Display show up automatically, which is one of the reasons why I try not to go into the design too much and change the fonts and text around unless absolutely necessary, because then as I change the theme customizer, it'll go across the board and you'll retain some consistency. So that's a pretty cool feature. Now here, I can also add in other things, so maybe I'll add something else in here, maybe just for the sake of it, we'll add in let's add in a call to action so we can check out the buttons. Now once again, there is a background color here. I can turn it off, or I can turn it back on. I'm going to make the background color, keep it that green. If we go up the top, we've got do this, our call to action button, sign up. I don't have a link, you pop your URL in here under link. I'm just going to go hash. So we've got a little sign up button down there. But here I can add a bit more of a sign up to gain access. Obviously this is very vague, but this is a nice little call to action we can use to, if you want to send them to a page where they can sign up for an email newsletter, we can do that. And then maybe over here I'll just add something else, like we'll go. We've got a few options here really, but you can see maybe we just add a gallery. Actually, we'll add a gallery. If I'm going to go to add gallery images, upload files, select, I'm going to choose. Okay, so one of those uploads failed, not too important. So I'm going to click on a few of these as well, add these other images in, and we've got our gallery. You see here, now one thing to note too is if you don't want this floating around, you can just attach it like a sidebar, so you have that option. But our gallery is quite tall, so maybe we're not happy with the way that gallery works. If I go to design and layout, I'm going to change it to a slider. And now we have a cool slider for our gallery images. And obviously having the same height would be preferred for the images. There are ways of trying to do that, like with CSS or whatever, but I'm just not too concerned about that right now. But we've got our gallery in here. So maybe if we go back to our images, we can grab one of these tall ones. Let's just remove that. You can change the order. But you can see here how we've managed to add sections onto this page. But maybe I want to add something else. So you understand we've got the blue section, which is like a row. We've got the green section, which is technically it's called a row, but so we've got a row, a section to add columns, another section to add columns. But one thing I haven't touched on is what's called a full width row. So there's no columns in this here. If I actually go down the bottom here to add, I choose full width. I have a few full width modules. I can actually add in a menu if I want to. So maybe I'll just go main menu. We'll leave the background white, and then I can add modules within that. So I can actually, usually, here we go, the gray button here, a full width header. Now I can go ahead, because at the moment we're just talking about green. But if I want to, I can add a background here. So I'm going to go to image, and you have this option for your rows. You have it for everywhere. I'm going to go add a background image. I'm going to choose the, let's choose this one, which is the same one I believe I used in the video. I can add a parallax effect, and we can add a nice little scroll. True parallax, so you get a cool parallax effect. The text is a bit hard to read, so maybe I go to design, and maybe body text I add a drop shadow, and then I'll just go full black. So it's a little bit easier to read. So we've got like a little header there. I can also make it full screen, so it's the full height of the screen. No problem is the parallax is playing up, but that's just the preview. I'll turn that off. So I'm going to actually click OK. Now one thing about the visual builder is you can click and type. So, welcome. I can do that. Usually, I think sometimes in buttons you can type, but in this case it's not working. I can also click here and increase the padding. I can link it from here and create a taller section. And I can grab this and move it up above, which I actually failed at that time. Sorry. Move it up. Let's get to sort of scroll up a little bit. Okay, it's being a little bit, it's not really working. Oh, there we go. So we've got our little intro section there. With our menu, we can actually choose to use a logo as well. So let's just add in our TechBrain logo. The logo is a bit gigantic, but I can go in here to logo under design, and I've got a few options here. Not so much in regards to size, but I imagine I don't use this feature a lot personally, but under sizing we've got logo max width. We can make that much smaller and create a little navigation there, and maybe we'll actually create this background. We'll add an image in the background. So we have this quite ugly design going on here. We can actually use an image blend if we want to, so you know, hard light or something like that. But you know, the image blends are a little bit, you've got to sort of learn your way around them. I don't use them too much myself, but have a bit of a play with them if you are interested. I do know that under design, I believe you can set up an overlay of some sort. Anyway, what we can do is go to gradient, add a gradient. I can make this one black. I can make this one also black, but make the transparency about halfway. Scroll down and place gradient above image. So now we actually have Wait a second. Let's go back in for a sec. Sorry, so the menu text, we want that to be white so we can actually see it. And we're going to actually make that the top menu. Click OK, tick. So it's not quite looking the way I want it to, but let's say we've got this here. We can actually make this page, we can turn these sections off of this page. So let's just say, I'm going to save this. So you come down to this purple area here. If there's nothing there, you click on this middle. It just sort of toggles. You click on those three dots, go over and hit save. I'm going to exit the visual builder. And this is our page. Now we have two navigations for some reason. So what we're going to do, because we've added this one in ourselves, we're going to go to edit the page. As I said before, let's close that. We can't use the normal editor, but we're not looking to use that right now. We're going to go down to the page attributes, and where it says template, we're going to choose blank page. And then we're going to click update. When we go back to view the page, because we chose blank page, it will only show the page builder content. So that way, if you don't want to include your header and footer, you can actually turn them off, which is pretty handy. So we have this quite ugly looking page, but you can see how easy it is to create the layouts that you want to use. So this menu, I haven't actually done a great job of styling it because, as you can see, the text itself is quite hard to read. It is there, but yeah, it's actually quite powerful. So let's just go back in for a minute. Now the full width menu settings are good, but we're going to go back in. So we've got menu text, active link color is white, menu text color is white. So we have that, and it's on 2 rows, but you know, that's all good. And what we're going to do is going to go to this area up the top here, background. Wait, oops, that's actually part of the menu. Sorry, into the menu, the background. And let's just get rid of this image because it is a little ugly. So now we have our top section here. Maybe we want to turn this area off. So go backgrounds, just make that white. So now we have a website that's starting to look a little bit more decent because we've got a good choice of colors with our navigation. If you want to build one, you can custom build a navigation like this in the theme builder. And if I want to add a page title here, I can add another another row here of columns. So this time I'll go full width. I can actually go into text. And this is good to know even just for the use of the theme builder, but for now we're going to go to here. This is what's called dynamic content. If I click on that, I can choose the page/archive title, which is home. And I can even add here, before and after, a H1 tag. If you understand basic HTML. If not, it's all good. And now we have our page title at the top. So welcome, home. And maybe down the bottom here, we want to add a different background just to break it up. Let's go with this one. And maybe we want to change this, just this section here. We can go into the background of this. We can even give just this little section here a different background. We can make it the green if we want to. We can click in, make it semi-transparent. And then we can even change the column structure to say half and half. And then we can go in and edit the individual columns with certain colors as well. So you're sort of getting the idea that we can basically customize with spacing, effects, colors, bitmaps, every little tiny element and every large element, and we actually get to completely build custom designs with the builder. And that's essentially how it works. You lay down your row, you insert your columns within that row, and go from there. But it's not just confined to that. If I want to, I can actually grab here I can change the padding and the margin. I can even click just above it for the margin, and I can have a negative margin which brings this up, and now it actually even overlaps the row above it. And if I'm afraid of it touching the content, I can increase the padding. So you can get some pretty cool effects by overlapping areas. I can even, once again, I can change this background maybe to not quite white, but a really light gray. I'll go in to spacing, just go 20, 20. And once again, I bring this up so it overlaps. So you can see how you can get some pretty nifty effects with this. We got a cool parallax effect. We can have this entire column here. Go to design, animation. We can have it fade. So it fades in, or we can go slide. This time we'll go slide, say right. We can change the intensity so it's not quite as full on, or we can really crank up the intensity. So that way when you go down the page, that slides in. So you've got little animations you can add to just about everything, even this. So you can, I mean, you really have almost every option you can think of to add in. You can add videos in the background even. So if I go up here, under background, you can actually add a video. You can upload an MP4, and you can change the height, pause the video, and another video plays. You've got a few options there. Like, I highly recommend playing with this theme. You could lose yourself for hours, and this video could go for hours if I really wanted it to. But you can see how you can really create a fully custom website, and all of these tools are very much the same in the theme builder. Like I said, if you wanted to add in page content, there's a few modules here, such as the might not be in here because we're using the page builder, but it's called post content. So you add in a post content module and it brings out all the information from there. And if you have advanced custom fields, so let's say I add in another text area, or even just a call to action if I want to. Let's go call to action just for the sake of it. On the title here, I can choose the page excerpt. I can choose the page title. On the button, if I want here, I can get rid of all of this. So if I am using the page builder, or I just want to have a template which is more easily fitted, I can pop the page excerpt in here, or I can even pop in, I believe, advanced custom fields. But I don't have any set at the moment, so they're not there. But you get the idea. It's a really powerful theme and customizer. So that's basically it. To summarize, it gives you an idea of how it works. I just want to give you a bit of an idea on how this theme works. I know it's a longer video, but you set up your basic options. You use your theme customizer to get the basic theme looking the way you want. Just going to exit and save. And then you can take it a step further with the page builder to create pages look the way you want. And then of course the next step, which like I said is a whole other video series, is you have the theme builder itself. Now once again, I'm going to link to that below. But the theme builder itself is quite powerful because you can use this exact same builder functionality to create a custom header or lay out your custom content. So that way you can just use the default WordPress editor to come up with your content in the content area. And then you can even create custom sidebars, or you can just insert your widgetized sidebar, so you can create a fully functional customized theme that people can use without ever having to touch Divi at all. You can be the web designer or the person who creates a website using Divi, and then the other person just simply logs in, uses the basic WordPress functionality to make general updates. And that's a pretty powerful feature to have in a theme because Divi didn't always have those things. But you can see here how easy it's been for me to create this custom page, and the possibilities are endless from here. And then we click on the About Us page, and it goes back to our layout from before. So yeah, I hope you found that video useful. I highly recommend checking out some of the videos I'm going to pop on the screen in a minute because they will help you further understand Divi. But if you want to check out the Divi theme, if you don't already own it, then just use the link on the screen at the moment. It is an affiliate link I earn a commission from if you purchase. But I use this theme for every website I build in my web design business, and I've built well over 100 websites with it. And I swear by this theme. It is by far, out of all the themes I've tried, head and shoulders above everything that I've tried. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. If you want more like this, please consider subscribing. And also, I am working on a Divi Resource page. So resources for Divi. I will also be releasing free templates you can download. So check out the description below as well to check out my Divi resources. I do already have a Divi resource page as well on the site with a few tutorials, so that link will be below, and I'll work on expanding that in the future. So a lot more if you're a Divi user. I'm trying to provide as much as I can so that way you can really do just about anything with this theme. Alright, so I've blabbered on enough. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time, and don't forget to check out some of the videos coming up. See you later.